Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Next Level podcast. It's been quite a while since we've put out an episode. I know Carmus has gotten really busy, and I've been busy with having two kids now, so that's been really fun. But I wanted to hop on. I saw a really cool YouTube video of Square Enix kind of going over what updates they're going to be doing throughout the spring and summertime. I know it came out in like March, so I'm a little behind on it. I do apologize, but one of the big things that's coming up is Limbus. So I have jumped in and asked our buddy Kunel here, who threw me off through a loop because he looks so different now. So we'll go
Yes.
over some of those updates as well too. But Kunel, if you want to introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, first of all. But yep, Kunel. Been playing this game for what feels like forever now. So started with the actual US launch back in around '02, and kind of just been playing on and off since. But a lot of history there, a lot of good times. But as you mentioned, I just took advantage of the race chain service. So my 23 years of Taru-ness have disappeared, and I'm a cat now. So feels different, but it feels fresh. Good
How was
stuff.
the race change? Because I noticed when I was watching the videos, you actually can see what the character is gonna look like instead of going back to the created character screens, where those models don't quite look like what they do in the game.
Yeah, it was really smooth actually. I think they did a pretty good job implementing it. Especially the biggest concern was about like like race specific gear, or sorry, gender specific gear, right? So, namely the dancer gear, which I'm kind of wearing right now, because you know basically I wasn't sure if I would need to like drop it, do it again. But they made it really easy where you could basically just trade your gear to an NPC and get it back as the proper gender. So that was cool that they did that really smooth and didn't have to request or do any of that stuff. So um, kind of sad that it's not all the gear that is gender specific that you have. So I have some of the decennial anniversary gear that I can't wear anymore, like the crown and like the coat. So a little bummed about that, but overall, I'm enjoying it. I think it's kind of just fresh, which is kind of cool.
I didn't actually think about that, to be honest. So
Yeah,
when you brought up with the dancer equipment, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that is gender specific on those." I didn't think about that, but it is kind of a bummer those anniversary pieces, you still have are the male ones because you were a male Taru, if I remember
yep,
correctly.
yep. I was. So pretty big change there. Um, yeah, so a little sad about that, but overall, it's nice. I think one of the main reasons why I ended up changing, other than just to be fresh after 20 some odd years of the same character, um, was really kind of getting a better look at the gear because gear in the game's pretty awesome looking, especially with all the lock style stuff. Um, just can't really see your Taru leg gear, and everything looks really small. So it was time to just kind of grow a pair of legs and check out, what people are actually wearing as gear. So it's pretty cool.
Really funny, actually, when you put it that way. I get to see my legs.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, like all the leg gear for Taru is just like you can't see it. It's non-existent. So tiny boots. So kind of sad. If you saw that they released the push boots this past update for the login campaign, those were like teeny tiny for the Taru, so I couldn't really get a cool view of those. But now you can kind of see them. They're pretty cool. They're push size. So
They're precise, there you go. I did manage to snag those and did, like, the little quest where you run around so that way you can upgrade them.
yeah,
Um,
so cool.
yeah, I
So
liked
cool.
that they did that because it kinda got you back to those areas, and then at one point, I was like, "Oh, crap. Do I remember how to get to Dragonberry?" And I saw I had the book port to it. I was like, "Okay, good. I don't have to remember how to do that."
Yeah, I think what was kind of cool and nice was that the reason why they kind of had that item in here was because of the raid that they implemented in Final Fantasy 14, where Push is there and they go through all these different areas, and it actually the quest that you need to do to get the item kind of mimics the path that they take in that raid. So it's kind of cool. You're just going to all these locations that are pretty similar. I thought it was pretty neat.
Oh, that is true. I do remember my Final Fantasy 14 friends telling me that they go to Dragon's Eyrie, Sky,
Yeah,
and then, of course, Lower Juno as well too, so I guess that is kind of true about that. I never thought about that when I was going to those areas. I didn't put kind of
yeah,
the 2 to 2 together, but then again, I don't play 14, so that would probably make more sense in that aspect.
yeah. You fight the Shadow Lord. You go to the sky. It's pretty cool. It's a good little path and follows the same thing, follows the same flow. So it's kind of nostalgic, kind of nice.
Yeah, and speaking of, Prish, we have those fans that they're gonna be coming out with at Anime it's not Anime Expo. Um, oh my gosh, what
Yeah,
is it?
yeah, yeah.
Is it Anime
I'm pretty
Expo?
sure it is. Yeah, I think it is Anime Expo. Yep, I think they had the announcement just the other day. Yep, which is coming up, or is it? Oh no, it already took place. That's right. I think it's
Yeah, I think it's this past weekend that just happened, which I thought it was really cool that they're even re-advertising Final Fantasy 11, with them talking about their 14 content as well. So I thought that was kind of a nice, like, little nod. Hey, by the way, this game does still exist. We did a nod to
it's
it.
really cool. Well, I mean, I thought it was a great idea because I think it brought a lot of people back to 11, including myself too, just because it's so great. And then get a lot of people sending tells. They're like, you know, did you come back because of the 14 rating? Like, yeah, yeah, it was cool. Just it's nice to see that. So it was a good idea.
Yeah, that's when I was trying to get back into making videos and doing podcast episodes because there were a lot of people coming back from 14 that were like, "Hey, there's a lot of things that aren't explained and that are completely different." Because a lot of them aren't used to the gear swapping mechanic because it's just best in slot in 14. Um,
Yeah,
so it's really interesting hearing what they had to say too.
that's I think probably one of my favorite parts about this game is that it's all about the gear collection. For 14 or any other kind of or most standard MMOs these days, it's all just vertical. You get your gear at the raid and then that's it for basically that patch or whatever. But for this, it's like, man, you collect all this gear for all these different situations. It's so fun. You could build out gears, sets for any situation, um whatever, all your jobs, different weird niche situations. It's so cool. So it's just becomes almost like a collector type game, which is pretty cool. Got to get them all.
Yeah, the true end game is inventory management, as everybody
It
says.
is, it is. It's awesome. But that's what,
Uh,
yeah, that's what keeps it going. Like, it keeps it fresh and fun. It's really enjoyable to go around and collect all that stuff. So
Yeah, and then the biggest announcement that they had is they're coming out with Limbus 3.0. It's coming up, I think, actually on Tuesday here on the 10th. So that's
yeah,
really exciting.
good
So,
stuff. So many people excited for that, and a lot of speculation about what's going to be involved in the content itself. And they released some live videos, kind of talking about some of the stuff too. Um, they released saw some like fan translations of, or maybe it was AI of the slides that they released. Um, but they had a lot of content in there too that it just all Japanese, so a lot of people didn't catch it or didn't take the time to translate it and put it out there for everybody else. But yeah, it's pretty cool what's coming. I think it should be pretty fun.
yeah, I did notice that in their patch notes, they're not really like the full patch notes, but it's where they talk about like what's coming up here.
Yeah.
Um, I know I had talked to you about it before, and they did confirm it where relic armor will be farmed in Temenos, and then you have artifact in Apollyon.
Yep.
Um, I have some concerns where they were talking about how these aren't timed events, which is great. Love
Yeah.
that. Um, but that people can enter these areas and farm. And with being on Asura, I get worried because if you go to the Dynamis areas now, where
Yep.
even though they're timed, you have the mass amount of bots that are just constantly farming stuff over and over again. And that's the one worry that I have with this coming up
Indeed.
here.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, so they did mention that, right? It's not any kind of reserved instance. It's open. You could stay in there for however long you want. I think the girl on one of those live streams was asking Fujito, could you stay in there forever? And he's like, yeah, you could do that if you really wanted to. You could stay in there forever. Um, but yeah, there's no time limits. But as to exactly what's going to happen in there, um, in my head, the way they made it sound is that you can go in there for like master leveling, right? So naturally, you're going to be able to get exemplary points. And then there's also a specific currency for each zone, points basically from both Temenos and Apollyon. So in my head, I'm almost thinking it's like an Abyssia-like zone where maybe the mobs will spawn, really rapidly as you kind of farm them out. Um, on top of being able to kind of set the content level that you want. So they said you could basically set it from like 119 to 130, and it's just going to be regular trash mobs at first, no bosses, no NMs, nothing like that. So yeah, I really don't know how like the camps and stuff are going to work, or if there's like certain objectives you can do to get points, or like weird things like sortie related, where you got to fulfill certain criteria to get chests or something that give you those points. But I guess we'll see in just under a week now. So kind of excited.
Yeah, because they said that they were gonna make it to where you could either solo or party up with people. They didn't really mention if an alliance would be an thing that you could do, kind of like where you mentioned with the Abyssia, how people used to alliance up to do parties that way. So it'll be kind of interesting how difficult or how easy it will be for players to be able to go and either
Yeah.
farm exemplar points or just how rare are the drops going to be for these upgrades as well too?
Well, so I don't think they're even going to be drops for these upgrades. I think it's just purely point based stuff. So it's kind of why I kind of in my head for whatever reason I'm thinking it's like a uh, maybe more of like a delve where you're collecting plasm without direct drops or something like that, right? So where you just are basically saving up points and spending them on your upgrades however you want. Um, I don't know if that's true. That's just kind of the way that they made it sound on the stream, where you just need to collect that specific currency. He's basically talking about the points for each zone. So basically, each Temenos and Apollyon have their own point system, and as long as you could collect those, then you could upgrade them. So
Oh.
kind of makes sense, I guess, because right um, there's no NMs, there's nothing else other than just regular. I guess regular monsters could drop something that you need, but yeah, I don't know. Guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see with that. I know in that one video that I had sent you, when they talked about the upgrades for the artifact and the relic, they show a Taru in front of a synergy furnace.
Yeah,
So that's really interesting.
yeah.
I don't
I
know
think
if
that.
they're gonna do synergy or not.
Yeah, so I think that threw a lot of people off, and they were basically saying that it looks exactly like a synergy furnace, but synergy crafting, none of that stuff's actually involved whatsoever. You could basically just consider that like an NPC, and all you need to do to upgrade your stuff is just basically trade your probably your AF gear and the points that you need, and you'll be able to upgrade from that thing. So no, you don't need to do anything else. It's not synergy. Not they're they're joking around saying like, can we thwack it like the synergy furnace?
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, you won't need to do that. You probably shouldn't. Maybe it'll get upset, not give you your gear, but don't. But yeah, people shouldn't stress out. It seems like a very simple process and nothing. Don't need anything else special to do it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they're not gonna use a Mona set type NPC, they're just gonna have this synergy furnace. Are they gonna be kinda spread out through the maps? Did they mention anything like that?
I don't know. It almost seemed like it was. I I don't know why. I just think in my head it seemed like kind of like a loading room or just like a kind of like the entry point or something like that. But I don't know. It's a good question. If there will be multiple ones, I would
Oh,
assume. assume that they would probably want to have a couple if everybody and I don't know. Just imagine the actual like the reforging NPC right now, how crowded that area gets with everybody kind of just standing around her.
Yeah, it also did they mention, like, how long it would take to reforge those pieces? Like, with Mona said
They
it's an in-game day.
they did not. Not really too sure. Um, yeah, I'd be curious about that. What the time limitations are on that. But as far as I know, yeah, they didn't mention too much.
Okay. I'll
Beyond
try.
yeah, beyond just those things, I think the only other thing that they mentioned was like for access, you just need to have the white and black cards, which are supposedly going to be permanent items, or permanent key items rather. And then as long as you have the scintillating Rhapsody key item, you're good to go. So,
Oh,
um,
that's good.
and
Nobody has to farm all the flowers all the time.
no, yeah, I know, right? That would have been interesting. Um, and then back to your kind of comment about the parties in the alliance. The only other thing that they did mention was that the trusts are limited to 3 per party. Um, so even if you do go in there solo, you're kind of limited to that. But I guess you could adjust the content level too. Um, so I guess it's all kind of fair.
Oh, that's interesting that they're limiting it to only 3
Yeah,
trusts. They're not allowing you to have a full party even if you're soloing?
indeed. Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of curious why they opted to do that. Maybe to kind of get people to group up. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Maybe or maybe they've noticed it kind of overloaded the area since they have this as a
Yeah,
non-timed
could,
zone that
that could
people
definitely
could
be it
stay
too.
in.
Yeah. Yep. I could see that being a reason for sure. So pretty funny.
Yeah, because they also noticed in their patch notes, they talk about how they will continuously be updating Limbus as well too. So this update that's gonna be happening here shortly isn't the end all be all for Limbus. They're gonna add notorious monsters or maybe additional
Yeah.
monsters. So I guess maybe they're gonna kind of test the waters with this with everybody and kind of see how well it works out.
Yeah, I think so. I am curious to see what else they are doing down the line, but I think they just wanted to get it out to people, sooner too, as opposed to just wait for the notorious monsters and other stuff. But um, it's kind of nice to release it in these phases. They were mentioning too that one of the biggest reasons they just cut all the costs for upgrading artifact and relic stuff this past update was so people could start focusing on the +4 stuff. So I think that's what they kind of intend for this update is let's start getting people on the +4 end, and then basically using that to fight the stuff that's coming down the line. So kind of a good kind of prep phase to get everybody up to the same level, and then whatever monsters, notorious monsters, bosses they release, people should be geared up and ready. So be kind of neat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Did they mention at all if they feel this relic and artifact will surpass the Empyrean, or do they feel like it'll kind of match the current Empyrean +3 equipment that's out? Because I feel like Empyrean's kind of overshadowed
Yeah, yeah. There's
both
a pretty
the
big
other 2.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty big gap there. They didn't quite mention that, but it seems like whatever content they're releasing, their idea was that the +4 stuff should be appropriate for whatever that is, or at least by the sounds of it, right? So I would imagine that it would kind of bridge that gap a bit, but super curious to see what's on that gear. Or what they could do to it, right, for the +4. I know there's a lot of speculation too, like what color's the box? Going to be, from the yellow to, is it going to be red? What's it going to be? So I wonder, I wonder, and stat wise too, if there's any special bonuses. Yeah, see what they do.
I was actually asking Mer that the other day. I was like, "Is there anything that's +4 in the game?" And he's like, "I thought there was, like, a potion or something," and I just
Yeah.
quickly looked over and I was like, "No, those only go to +3."
Oh, I could have
What?
swore you that there was some consumable medicine, something like that. That was, but
I
I
know.
don't think
Now
so.
now
I
I'm
don't know either.
curious
Yeah.
to go look what it is, because 'Cause I'm like, I feel like there is, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I've been seeing the forum on Final Fantasy XI Auction House where people are talking about it. They're like, "Are they going to rework?" the artifact and the relic based off of, like you mentioned, things that are coming out, where are they gonna completely change it once it goes to this +4, or are they still gonna kind of keep their themes that they have going on where, like, relic sticks a
Mm.
lot to your merited abilities and enhancing those merited abilities, or your 2 hour essentially, or are they going to change it and have it do something else?
Yeah, I feel like just knowing the dev team this entire time that they would probably stick to the path that they've been on and kind of mod, like you said, for the meritable stuff or focus on the job specific things. Um, but I don't know. Maybe they will change it up. Who knows? But it's just lucky that we don't have to wait that long.
Yeah.
So we'll know soon. Just gonna be nice.
Yes, it'll definitely be very nice. I know one person actually reminded me because I was about to start streaming again. Now that I'm getting back into the groove, and my kids
That's
are
awesome.
kind of sleeping through the night.
Oh yeah.
um,
That's
they're like, Are they gearing up to something for the 25th anniversary that they announced back on the 20th anniversary?" They said, "We're going to do something big on the 25th anniversary," which is only 2 years away
yeah,
at
yeah,
this
yeah.
point. So it's like, is this going to be the first of like, hey, these are the big changes that we're going to start implementing and kind of where the path is going?
Could be. I mean, I'm just excited that they're still doing stuff, right? I mean, like, if if you would have told me, that they would still be continuing to release, content, it's like, holy crap! Like they just keep putting stuff out. And I remember back when Rhapsodies first came out, the kind of I don't know thing that I took it as was like, this was basically the last set of content, and that was basically going to be it, and maybe like little updates here and there, but the fact that they're still making stuff, the voracious stuff with Sortie and just everything, like they're still releasing content, which is pretty awesome to see. Even though the dev team is much smaller these days than it was, and Fujito's really putting in the effort, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, with how small the dev team is, I'm not surprised that they're reusing older content, so reusing the maps and the
Yeah,
monsters that already exist in the game, because it's not like they have a lot of people to redesign things and create new stuff. So
right.
when people were talking about like, are they gonna go a different path with Artifact and Relic? And I'm like, kind of like what you were saying, like, I don't think so, but it's because the dev team's so small they don't have a lot of time with all the things and deadlines they're trying to get out there too.
Totally. But it was, when we talk about like future stuff, they did have a nice little kind of segment on their recent live stream talking about the future as well. So they definitely have a pretty interesting roadmap. And even though they were kind of vague about it and didn't have any like thing concrete to really share, it was nice to hear them talk about, their thoughts and what they plan to do kind of moving forward. So hopefully some good stuff's on the way. It's pretty cool.
I I do like that so far everything that they have talked about that they were going to do, they have done. It's
Yeah.
not like they kind of teased you and were like, "Oh, we're gonna add race changes," and then never come out with it. They actually were like, "Yeah, no, it's coming out. We're trying to figure out how to get this to work appropriately." And then they did, and now we have Kunel from Taru to now a Mithra.
Yeah. It's nice. It's thrown a lot of people off. It's and not just me. You run around and you see all these people that and they're completely different races now. So, lots of people converted to Taru. See a lot of new Galkas out there too. So, it's really kind
Most
of
of the
funny.
people I've known have changed to Mithra, actually.
Yeah, I feel like that was. I would be kind of interested to see because I mean, obviously they're collecting data on the back end, right? So I would definitely be curious to see what percentage of people converted to what race, and I guarantee that it's probably Mithra. If I had to guess,
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, if I had to bet on that, I would say the highest percentage is probably Mithra. But I have seen a lot of Galkas. I have seen a lot of people convert to Taru, so it's kind of cool.
I mean, Tarus do have really unique weapon skills. Same with Mithras. I think they have
Yeah,
the 2 unique
they're the best.
weapon skills types, yeah.
They're flashy. Yeah, it was pretty cool. What was it? I think I was just kind of gearing up my ranger, and I didn't know Mithra's. I think it was Apex Arrow that took me by surprise. I was like, wow, this animation's awesome. So that was really cool. So kind of neat.
Oh, and going back and talking about bringing back old content, since we were talking about Limbus, they rehashed Besieged. I haven't gotten to
Yeah.
try it yet. Every time I'm like, I'm gonna go try the new Besieged. I'm gonna go do it. I'm not awake when they've invaded. And now this time I saw the message that was like, the trolls are on
Sweet.
their way. And I was like, I have to record a podcast.
Well, hopefully the city was safe without you there. So,
Oh, it
so
probably was.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, um, I think it kind of ends really quick. Regardless, right? It's still kind of quick in terms of they can't really stay in the city too long. They get killed right away. But
Ah,
it's
drat.
kind of nice, the morale gauge, the new buffs you can kind of get, which I really haven't seen yet, or maybe I haven't noticed. But the generals can give you some cool new buffs. Um, you can get exemplar points by doing it, which is kind of cool. I thought that was kind of neat. Pretty sure that was new, and that's something that I
Yes.
didn't realize, right? So that's kind of a good quick way to just get some EP, which is nice to me. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Seeing them that touch older content is also one of their themes too that they were mentioning for their future plans. So moving forward, like basically going into all this other older content or existing content, kind of sprucing it up, making it better, improving it. So it seems like good stuff is coming. I don't know what else they're going to be really putting their hands on, but it's kind of nice. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I really liked Besieged back in the 75 days, so I was getting really excited when they were doing these updates to it. I
yeah,
hope that they can make it challenging enough to bring like, with the exemplar points being added, I think is a great incentive for people that have played the game for a long time to be able to go do the old content, but maybe bring back that old difficulty that made Besieged what it was, and,
I remember
needing to
that. Yeah,
actually
yeah. Try
save
hard. Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really rare to see them come through the gates in that first little area. So they're usually dead before they can even get through the door, which is kind of funny. They don't stand a chance. But yeah, I think it's all about incentive, right? So before the exemplar points got added, I think the only real reason why I was going in there was for the silver voucher, every month for the Amontrove stuff. And that's really
Yes.
it, right? So I mean, like, there's really no other reason for me to go in there other than if you just want to have fun. But like,
Just wave at them on top of the
there's a lot
bridge
of
while you wait.
yeah, there's a lot of other stuff to do. So it's like I'm not gonna sit there and wait and do that. But with these incentives, like it's cool, and um, thankfully it doesn't take that long, and you could get a decent chunk of EP by just participating. So it's kind of cool. Makes it a
Yeah,
little bit
I
more fun.
think what they just added level 11 because I think it used to cap out
Yeah.
at level 10 and they just added 11. So I haven't seen a level 11. When I checked the besiege that was just about to happen before we got on, I think it was only at level 10. So I don't know if it hit that level 11 when it was heading out here.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's level 11 now. So, and
Oh,
it's still
dang it.
like, yeah, it was kind of thinking like, oh yeah, they're going to be pretty tough, but no, they they get stopped pretty easy. But I'm sure it's also due to the fact with the incentives too that more people are coming out there, which is cool to see.
Yeah, and they're probably also trying to gauge how many people are actually doing the content because they don't want to lose astral condescence all
Yeah,
the time.
absolutely.
So they're probably like, "Oh, we only have so many people participating. We'll make it a little bit harder. Maybe that'll get people to do it since they're dying so fast." And maybe eventually
Yeah.
they'll find that balance where it's not over in an instant, but it's also not super dragged out because nobody's doing it.
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to be respectful of people's time too, which is actually one of the themes that they were kind of talking about in their future plans, which is pretty neat. So uh, kind of recall those slides that got translated. There's a lot of context behind them that was really just talked about verbally and not written down there. Um, so I think one of the bullet points was that they wanted to expand solo play, or like being able to play solo. but it's not really taking it at face value for actually like playing alone, playing by yourself. What they were basically saying was that they want to be more respectful of people's time. So if you've got limited time to log in each day and play, they basically want to make it so that way when you log in, you can play what you want to do each day. Have a goal, be able to do it, and then log out at a specific time. So kind of make some better like stop start points for the content. So really kind of remove any impediments or blockages to play what you want to play when you want to play it, which is kind of cool. They didn't have any set examples, but it's just kind of nice to hear them say that. It's like um, they don't want to make everything solo, and force you to just play solo because the game is very much built from an aspect of like grouping up and playing with people. That's kind of been the goal from the beginning and the point. So they don't want to take away from that. But it sounds like what they really want to do is make it easier to group up with people, get into the content, do what you want to do, and then when your time's up, be able to log out and kind of have a goal for the next day, which is pretty cool. So whether that's like expanding content or going back to other content like like Besieged and Limbus and stuff like that, it seems like they're gonna add a bunch of stuff like that, touch up some stuff, adjust things. Um, Pretty cool. I like it. Basically making it less stressful to kind of just do what you want. I dig it. It's kind of nice.
I actually really like that you kind of said that. Coming from now a person that doesn't get to play Final Fantasy
Yeah.
11 from start to finish
Right.
every day, I only get like 2 hours in a game or in a day, maybe to hop on the game if my kids don't wake up at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true, and it's a lot of people, right? I mean, I think the majority of people playing the game right now are like our age, right? So much more time restrictive at the moment for many, life, jobs, everything like that. So it's kind of nice to kind of think way back in the day, grouping up for parties and just taking forever to get stuff started and do stuff. And it's come a long way since then. But if they're making improvements to that even more, like that's awesome. Like just let's do it. Be
yeah,
great.
that's why I think I like this concept of Limbus, where they don't have that time restraint because
Right.
with Sortie and Odyssey, great content, don't get me wrong, but the time constraints and trying to accomplish everything that you need to in those time constraints while
Yeah.
also having the potential, "Hey, I gotta go in the middle of it because my kid woke up," it
Absolutely.
makes it kind of a bummer for somebody like me trying to get all of the end game content stuff done in the time restraints. While with this, I could go in, either spend the 30 minutes or 20 minutes that I get, or I could have the full 2 hours and actually do something and get something accomplished. So that is really neat in that aspect for that, coming from
Yeah.
this side of it where I can't always hop on.
Yeah, it's nice. And going back to Limbus, it's like, they basically said you could come and go as much as you want. Like there's no, daily time restrictions, weekly time restrictions or entry, it basically you want to go in, you could do it. You could leave, go get something from your Mog house and come back if you want. There's no restrictions on that whatsoever. I think that's kind of one of my biggest complaints maybe of that might be too severe, but just like one thing that I just don't dig too much about, especially coming back when I did. So I took a pretty long break. I think I stopped playing around the time that, man, when was it? Basically when Omen was already out, Dynamis Divergence Zones just came out. I think they didn't implement Wave 3 yet, is when I basically left. And I just came back this past like November. So it's been a really long time. But hopping into Odyssey and Sortie, obviously, like um, having to catch up on that front was definitely an endeavor. But with a lot of people coming back at kind of staggered times for my friends, who all kind of left, before Odyssey, before Sortie, it's just been really weird trying to help people, because you basically have your one tag a day for Sortie or your your Moglophone for the day for Odyssey and doing stag runs and stuff like that. It's like so you're locked out. Then you can't help your friends if they're on at a different time or your schedules don't line up. So it's kind of like the same idea, right? Like if you've got to deal with your kids and you just kind of gathering a bunch of adults at the same time, it's very difficult. So it's nice that at least Limbus, there's no worry about that. Like you want to hop on. Maybe I've been in Limbus all day, but my friend's going to log on soon. We could still do stuff together, and there's no lockout. There's no worry about helping other people there. So kind of excited if that's truly going to be the case.
Yeah, just crossing fingers that the Asura bots don't try to overwhelm Limbus once it comes out, because I think that'll be the major bummer, at least with our server. I don't know about other servers and how overcrowded their areas can get. I know we do
Mm,
have the largest populated server, um, but with the amount of bots that are on here,
for sure, for sure.
has me worried. Did they mention if the currency I know, like, you kind of compared it to Plasm, where it's more stored as, like, a key item type thing instead of it being an actual drop. Maybe that will help a little bit, um,
Yeah.
but I guess it just depends on how they implement it, because then it will be turning into, like, the exemplar parties where they'll just group up with the bots and then just farm it that way for people, which is a concern as well too.
Yeah. Yeah. Unsure, but also kind of curious too, right? Like how the system's even going to work because you can adjust the content level. So with that said, the monsters, I guess you basically have. Really not sure how it would work, but I don't know if it's going to be like a confrontation type setting, or when you basically tag that monster, that it's the content level that you've set, in like a world spawn type thing, like open world type monster spawn where you tag it and then it's your content level, if that makes sense. So I'm not
Yeah.
really too sure because you basically set it when you go in. And it doesn't set it for everybody. So those monsters kind of have to lock to your content level somehow. So kind of interested to
Well,
see.
if I think about old Temenos and Apollyon, didn't they have different areas within Apollyon and Temenos?
They did. Yeah, there were different sections, right? I think. Yeah, because you need to collect those the chips, right? Were the chips? It's
Yeah,
been so long
to
ago.
be
Yeah.
able to do Omega and Ultima.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
wondering
So
if that's how they're gonna break it up. Maybe you say, "Oh, I want to do the lowest content level," so they send you to that particular zone. Or if
could
I
be.
wanna do the highest level, they send you to that particular area. Maybe that's how they're gonna implement it. So they're all the content level within that same area, and if you choose to, you're like, "Oh, I'm losing a couple of party members, I need to go to a lower area," maybe you leave that area and then go to the other one, and that's why they don't have that restriction with entering and
Really?
exiting.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about that. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what they do there. It could be cool.
I did like seeing the views that they were showing of, like, all the different monsters that they've already thought
Yeah.
about putting in there, and I was like, "That's such a very vast difference of monsters."
Yeah. Should be pretty neat. I'm pretty excited. Should be cool.
I'm very excited too. Oh my goodness. So did they mention what kind of things they're wanting to work on beyond Limbus in any of the live streams that have come out recently?
Um, Not particularly. So I mean, they basically kind of threw back the conversation saying like, basically referencing Besieged and Limbus of what they're doing there. So whatever older content, I don't know, that they'll be kind of looking in the same kind of vein to update, adjust, make it new. Yeah, kind of neat to see what they focus on. But what they did mention was that they were looking to add more ways to obtain items, meaning that
Oh, okay.
so basically like items that you need for like missions and quests, equipment upgrades. They want to give new avenues to basically have people get the items they need. So I don't know if they mean like the delve materials or the other materials that you need for all the AF and relic upgrades or whatever other mission quest items that you might need. I'm thinking like voracious type items too. Um, but Unclear, really, no concrete examples there, but they basically are going back to the whole thing, like, we don't want to waste people's time on kind of pointless things. So like not really having super rare drops from monsters for important things for progression, easing up on that to make sure people can get what they want, and to progress, right? So new avenues for character progression paths to make sure that you're, being able to do the latest stuff with everybody, and not taking too long, I guess. So kind of cool.
I wonder if they're gonna ever adjust how to do the crafting shields because that was the biggest time consumption thing I have ever done in this game, and I've done
I've
quite a
heard
bit.
I've heard that's pretty intense. Unfortunately, I'm not too big on crafting. I haven't really done too much. I think like the highest craft I have is like level 40 leathercraft, so I haven't really done very much. So I know nothing about that stuff. But I have heard, like from you and others, just how painful that was. So um, I hope they do something in the future for it because it does sound pretty rough. So that that'd be
I
cool.
don't know if they will though because of what the process is to do the
Mm,
final stage. Like stage 1 through 4, super easy, super quick. You could probably do it in like a day, maybe 2. But that final stage really is so overwhelmingly time consuming if you were to farm it. Because I farmed about half of my shield before I just ended up being like, this is taking me so long to do that I'm just going to buy the spheres at this point.
yeah.
And then it only took me about a month to finish the other half.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm paying these ridiculous prices for these spheres. One, because they was so overly bought it at the time. Um, but also just trying to do it yourself without having a shield that can HQ everything for you. It drags on that shield so badly.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine. Maybe one day I'll try to get more into crafting, but I don't
I'm
see that
trying to
happening for a
convince
little bit.
Mur to make the crafting shield, and he's like, "No." He has stage 4s in all of his crafts, and he just saw me do that last one, and he's just like, "No."
Can't I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, like they coming back and seeing that they have made improvements to the crafting system was kind of neat. I think they made it a little bit easier from my perspective anyway, for crafting stuff. So maybe I will give it a shot and just have some fun with it. Since I've kind of uh, feel like I've caught up a good bit now, and looking for some more things to do. I've been kind of fishing and taking on some of that. So maybe I'll use my fish and get into like cooking or something. I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
We'll see. But
Um, I do know while I was doing the Try Not to Die challenge streams before I had my second, um, I did notice a lot of quality of life upgrades that they had done for early new players. Like the tutorial NPC,
yeah,
to be honest, actually has really great information
that's
about
awesome.
how to play the game and just aspects of the game that I was like, "Wow, they actually explain it to you for once." Like, you're not having to figure it out or go read a guide. You can just talk to this NPC and he'll give you bits at a time. So it's not like you're getting all of the information at once. It'll be like, "Hey, go out and kill a couple of monsters." And then they'll be like, "Oh, cool. You see this materials that you got? You could take this fire crystal and then maybe these two materials and you can make food out of it."
Yeah,
And I
that's
was like,
awesome.
"They actually teach you how to craft in this game."
Yeah, that's great. It's and like thinking back to the beginning, right? It's like you had no idea what to do for anything. It was just a mystery. Like it's just crazy to think now, like what it was from day one. It's like come a very long way. It's really interesting to kind of look back on that and how um how much people had to dig to figure stuff out, which is kind of cool, right? I think it's really neat in its own way, but a lot of that stuff just wouldn't fly in today's game world. I feel like time wise and just people's attention spans are just kind of wane. I feel, but it was
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Well, and it's just like what you had talked about earlier, the 14 raid bringing 14 players over here, and I've caught a couple of them streaming Final Fantasy 11, and I was like, "Hey,
Oh, that's cool.
what do you think of this game comparatively? What do you wish Final Fantasy 11 had or like had better explanations for?" And a lot of people were like, "The quest people don't tell me where to go." I
Yep,
was like, "Oh,
yep,
yeah, they don't do that."
I mean, they kinda do,
No, they
but
don't.
not like yeah, not like 14 or, other, quote, "modern day MMOs" with all the quest markers and, quest logs, stuff like that they have. Um, yeah, there's no hand-holding there, that's for sure.
Yeah,
It
there's not
at
hand-holding
most,
at
it's
all.
it's it's the vague, like, there might be a dude with a red hat standing by a tree. You might wanna talk to him, and you're like, "Alright, well, who and where?" So
Yeah. What do I like, the dancer quest line, they kind of give you a hint where, like, if once you're talking to the main dancer, she's just like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do that," and you go to the Mithra, and the Mithra is like, "You should go dance in Sandoria." And then you go dance in Sandoria, and you epically fail, and then she comes back, she's like, "I remember the main dancer talking about this lake when she was little," and it's like, "Oh, which lake?"
There's kind
There's
of
a
a lot of
whole
them.
bunch of
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, that's kinda cool though. Yeah, it's interesting to see. I'm like I've interacted with a bunch of people that came back, right, from 14, but like a fresh player, that has never touched this. Yeah, I haven't really, talked to too many people that have done that, and I just keep thinking like, "Man, it would be pretty tough to come from one of those games and just hop into this now," but like I said, I think they've improved a lot of stuff for people coming like first time players. They're even talking about how they are kind of making more official like guide videos for getting set up and doing stuff like that. I think he was talking about like how to organize your UI or something like that with the chat, the split chat screen, and how to organize the filters and all that jazz to get set up.
I
So it's
saw
kind of
those
kind of cool.
videos.
Were
They
they pretty good?
Um, they're all in Japanese, so I didn't
Of
understand
course.
what they were saying at all, but I could see them going through the menus. And of course the menus are in Japanese as well too, but I kind of knew where they were going with it. So I was like,
Gotcha.
that's cool that they tried to make videos to kind of showcase that. One of the things that they really did an in-depth video on was the gamepad, especially because they added the
Right.
feature in the menu. That's more of a recent change.
Yeah,
Instead of
that's
having
so
to, like,
nice.
shut your game down
Oh
and then
man, I
adjust the
know.
gamepad and then relaunch it, now you can actually do it while the game is active.
Who would
Um,
have thunk that they it's like
who
some
would have thought that would have been so
big,
handy to
huge
do?
quality of life update now. Yeah, it's so funny, but hey, they did
Yeah.
it. So
So seeing that video, I was like, "Oh, look, they're actually trying." I was like, "But none of these are in English, so none of the English players will know what they're
Yeah,
talking about." But I
yep,
thought it was cool. I think they started those in 2020 as I think the first video I
cool.
saw was on there. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." I think it's on the We Are Vonadil page.
Okay,
They
okay, yeah.
have those videos.
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it just again, 'cause it's just cool to see them just kinda keeping up with it and, to think that, like Vegito and all these other people have been working on the game since the beginning is just kinda mind-blowing, and that they're still putting in the effort. They still got the passion, like, he still loves the game, like you could tell, and it's awesome. It's not like it's just a job and he's just kind of grinding through it. Like I don't know the way he talks about it. He seems pretty passionate, so it's cool to see that the game
That's
has
so
life. It's good.
That's that's where I wish I knew Japanese, because then I could be like I could hear how excited he is, because I just look at it and I was like, "I see the expression and I see excited." I was like, "But I have no idea what you're talking
Yeah,
about."
yeah. And I think he genuinely is pretty passionate about it, and likes what he does, likes the game. It's cool. Can't beat
I
that.
think I think the only other complaints I've heard from newer players is just how different the combat system is and how frustrating gear swap is using the actual menus for gear
Oh
swapping.
yeah, it's tough. I could
I'm
see
like,
that.
"I
Yeah,
know.
it's
I'm
it
sorry."
it's pretty rough.
Yeah. I was like,
It's
that's why you always hear people talking about using the Windowware add-on or the Ashita add-ons for basically a gear swapping mechanic and just utilizing that instead of the in-game. And they just use the equip swats sets
yeah,
for
yeah,
lock styles instead.
sure. And I mean, I still think that the fact that they added that stuff in was amazing, because it really kind of simplified all the gears, changes and stuff like that officially. So it was kind of nice to see that. But yeah, it is kind of complex and kind of cumbersome to use, right? Um, I could see people struggling with that quite a bit.
Yeah. I remember having 5 buttons for my cures back in the 75 era because you had to have each line for your
Yeah,
each equipment, and
it's
then you would
crazy.
hit your gear, and then you basically didn't use fast cast sets because you would have to hit
So
so many buttons
nuts.
in order to utilize it.
But yeah, anybody coming from 14 or these other modern MMOs, see the combat, it's just so much more relaxed. I mean, there's jobs that are a bit busier than others in content. Obviously, like you're doing more things, but overall, it's pretty chill. And I think that's what I was telling some people. Like I used to raid quite a lot in 14, and while I do enjoy it, like I don't know, my current age right now, like not that I'm like losing my fast twitch type, reaction speeds or, like my actions per minute on the keyboard, but just like keeping up with the rotations and all these other things where you're just constantly like hammering on the keys, and doing all this kind of crazy stuff at the same time during the raid. Like I just want to chill, man. Like it's too much for me right now. Like I just want to kind of sit back and enjoy it a little bit more, and it just kind of feels nice to not have to worry about that as much doing content in this game. Like again, there's still busy times. You're still doing things, but it's not as kind of hardcore. Go go go, fast paced. Bunch of stuff's happening on screen at the same time. You got to move. So kind of enjoy that. It's kind of nice for I guess where I'm at right now in life.
Oh, that's very true. And speaking about, like, hammering buttons, macros, people not realizing how to set up macros. They're like, "I don't know what to do," because most of the time, I think in 14, what, you just assign a button for that specific ability, and again, since you don't
Yep.
have to worry about swapping equipment,
Yeah, just
you
one
don't have
thing,
to
one and
think
done.
about it.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and 11's macro system is so complex and you can really change it up how you like. And I've had people pop into my stream and they're like, "How did you set up your macros?" And I tell them, they're like, "That sounds complicated." And I was like, "No, it really
Yeah.
makes sense. It doesn't look so complicated when you actually see me scrolling through them, but sitting them on like a grid type thing, it could look really convoluted, and I'm sorry."
Oh, yeah. You really gotta kinda organize it to your own, gameplay style, which is cool. Like you said, you could customize it pretty deep, but, the organization on your palettes and, the whatever flow you wanna do for whatever it is you're doing, um, yeah, it really depends on the person. Because yeah, I've had people ask me, like, "How do you set this up for, like, red mage or some other job that I'm playing?" I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work for you, but this is how I do it. So
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt, and you'll probably have to reorganize stuff. But just mess around with it until you get something comfortable that you can kind of do it quick and not have to think too much. So it's
Yeah, I
kind of
wonder
neat.
if they'll make a video about trying to do macros because I know I made a video in regards to like the targeting aspect of your macros. So if you're doing like select target or
Hmm.
um, the specific PC or playable character versus non-playable character, if it's targeted, if it's basically an enemy, and having that set up that way, so that way people have that option. But I wonder if SE will make a video kind of just going over how versatile you can make your macros. I think would be kind of nice to see it from the dev
Yeah,
point. That'd be
and
kind
it's
of
deep.
cool.
It's really deep. Like there's still stuff I don't know. Like I'm digging through stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. It's like there's a lot.
Right?
There's a lot to it, and it's kind of neat, and it's kind of cool to also see people kind of have their eyes open to things that they didn't know about it as well. I think one example was in Sortie a while back, and someone was having trouble as a healer, curing someone because they were blinking, and they didn't know that you could basically put in the party number of that member and just lock it in and not have to worry about it. They're like, oh wow, that's kind of useful. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Speaking
You
of
could do,
which, I wonder if SE is ever going to add a function where you can target alliance members quickly.
mm,
Because like right now you can do if you're on keyboard at least, you could do your F1 through 6 and
yeah,
target your actual party.
right,
I know there's a function within window where you can hold control or hold alt and be able to target the alliance that way, but I know that is not native to the game itself. That aspect's not there at all. And I kind of hope they add something into the game that'll allow you to be able to quick access target alliance members without necessarily making a whole nother macro palette just for if
yeah.
you're an alliance.
That's a lot of macros.
Probably way too many macros for 18 different
Way
people.
way too much. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I wish that I could just have a deeper look at what they're planning. It'd be so cool to see. I know they like kind of showing off some roadmaps, but like we've kind of seen, they're kind of vague. They don't really go too deep. But just based on all the quality of life stuff that they've been implementing, like I don't think it's too far fetched. If people raise their voices enough, you know, people kind of like poo-poo the official forum and stuff like that. But they're looking at it. They're looking at everything. And the cool thing was that all these future plans that they had, they basically are taken directly from feedback from the survey that they conducted recently. So,
Yes, I did notice
people's
that.
people's opinions are definitely making it to the devs, and they're taking it to heart. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I know they also implemented that area display, because a lot of people weren't sure, like,
Yeah,
what the range was of things, and I
that thing's
don't think a lot of
awesome.
people. I know, and I don't think people realize that's a thing, because if you're using your macros and they're not select targets at all, you still don't see that area
Right.
display,
It's true.
but if you're, like, a new player and you're trying to figure that out, that area display is so helpful in the beginning because it's, like, really shows you if something's going to be in range of, especially with geo bubbles. Holy moly with geo bubbles and you're first
Oh,
trying to
it's
figure those
great.
out.
Yeah, I didn't know that they did that, and when I saw that option, I was like, "Huh." And I saw it, actually take place, like, "Wow, this is awesome." This is really, really good. Really good idea that they have this. So, it's pretty cool. I dig it.
I They think of some things that I would never think of at all and put that in, and I'm like, "Oh, man, that's so nice."
Yeah, you get a lot of, I mean, the feedback that they see or the feedback that people comment on. It's like there's a lot of things that you don't think about, and everybody kind of has something that you know they get some gripe or something that's like cumbersome that they're thinking about, and introducing like, oh yeah, didn't even think about that. So kind of neat to get all those opinions and see what they come up with. I dig it.
Yeah. I think there are still some things that would be difficult to implement. I know one of the things somebody's brought up to me while I was streaming was, why doesn't Ranger have an automatic shooting option?
Mm,
Um, and I told him it's not really like weapons where weapons are set on a delay. Like, yes, range weapons are set on a delay, but the delay is set differently, and interrupting shooting to try to perform a weapon skill is also in there as well
yep,
too. You can't shoot in weapon skill kind of like where
it's pretty
with,
different. Yep.
yeah, with actual weapons, the delay doesn't really matter when you're implementing a weapon skill into an actual swing. So those are all different factors in how they're kind of calculated and implemented into the game. So that's why they're separate.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Quite different. But I understand. I totally understand for those fights where you're just pew pewing. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is.
It would also make doing hover shot really difficult if they had an auto
Yeah.
shooting
That's
function.
that's where I was starting to think, yeah, that would be really tough.
Hover shot's so
Yeah,
great.
I don't see them doing anything around that. I mean, that's just how the system is, right? So
Yeah. Well,
hover shot's pretty
I
cool.
think
But
I think we've kind of hit everything though that's coming up, or unless
yeah,
I missed something. Did they say anything else in the live stream that maybe we didn't talk about?
no, I think that's really about it. Just cool quality of life stuff on the way, Limbus, and then their future plans and kind of their thought process behind that. Um, yeah, pretty stoked for the version update that's coming, and definitely curious to see what they're going to be doing in the future. So I'm excited. Yeah, be just a couple
I'm super
days. What
excited
is it?
too. I
Tuesday.
know.
Mm,
Tuesday, June 10th is the update. So hopefully I should have this podcast episode edited and uploaded hopefully
nice.
before then, but if not, I mean, we can always come back and we can talk again, Kunal, and we can go like, "Hey, these are what we saw with the
Oh,
Limbus
totally.
update."
I was way off. Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
both had
Really
no
cool.
idea.
But I'm excited to just have something new to do. I feel like I might be a rare case of just someone that still kind of enjoys sortie, maybe because it's a little bit more fresh for me coming back, when I did. But basically just grinding that out every day. Just having something else to do, like Limbus, will be kind of fresh. So I'm still stoked on that. It'll be cool.
Oh, yeah, that's kinda something to think about too, is just spreading out players. Because I remember when Odyssey was
Yeah.
new, you weren't back yet, but it was so congested
Oh, I
trying
can
to
only
do
imagine.
Odyssey. Because I mean, the only other content you had was Omen and Dynamis Divergence, which most people had already finished both of those by the time Odyssey came out, and it came out slowly, so everybody was going into Shoal A and overcrowding that, yet you had to really wait long times,
Yeah.
especially on Asura, and then B would come out, so that kind of loosened it up a little bit, but not really, because all the people had finished upgrading all their stuff in A, and now they're in B, so that
I
sorta
can't
got
imagine what
oh,
the lag
it
would have been. I mean, the lag right now is still terrible in there. So I can't even imagine when it was like the only thing that was new. Oh man, if the lag was anything like worse than what it is now, it'd just be nuts. So
yeah, when Sortie came out, it kind of slowed it down a lot to where you didn't have to wait
that's good.
almost an hour to enter in to an Odyssey zone.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, now it's a lot shorter because everybody's kind of finishing up their Odyssey stuff at this point. Um,
Yeah.
but with
Yeah.
this area coming out, hopefully it doesn't get over congested with the amount of players that can sit in this zone instead of it kind of being waved out with those time implementations like Swordy and Odyssey have. So we'll see how Limbus does with the forever time zone.
Yeah, it was kind of funny too, the the joke or quip that he kind of made when one of the ladies on that live stream was like, "Oh, so we could stay in there forever," and he's like, "Well, I mean, yeah, you can." He's like, "I don't think you really want to do that though. Like, I don't think that'd be fun. Like, there's other stuff to do, you know." It's like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's true." So I I am curious just to see what or how hard they're gonna make it to upgrade your stuff. Like, do you need to be in there for a very long time? Can you get the points pretty rapidly to upgrade? What is the grind gonna look like? But if anything, like it's still gonna be a cool option for just exemplary point farming for master levels. Just have a different camp. Maybe it'll be better EP. That would be cool. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
because what the last camp that was added was it Bubmarimu or was it Kadavramire? I think it was Bumarimu
Okay.
Peninsula was the last one that came out, um, which, I mean, a lot of people have flocked to it at this point because 'cause it's got the most exemplar points next to King Rampier's tomb, um, but, I mean, Kadavramire is also really nice. I like doing them. They're not as bad as what people imagine. They're actually really nice. They
Yeah.
don't
Not
try
too
to
bad.
amnesia you every 5 seconds.
Think the only time I really go out there for them is just to steal the impish box, and that's about it.
Oh, yes.
They're-
Yes.
That's pretty fun, even though people think I'm insane for doing that. But it's not that bad. Just kind of go out for like an hour, try to steal one, and if you don't, then at least you get some EP on your thief, and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of relaxed.
I wonder how many people have gone to do the gears in Nizel Isle, because I remember when they first came out, nobody wanted to touch them because they just regenerate over and over again, so you have to kill them
Oh,
super fast,
didn't
but
even
they're
know.
they're they're
Neat.
gears, so they don't like to take physical damage, and nobody wants to fight them on mages, so I wonder if that's
Interesting.
changed. I'll have to take a look.
I have not seen anybody ask about them or talk about them, so I didn't even know that. But now I too am curious.
Yeah, do you remember, I'm trying to think of where one's located that's really easy to get to. If you pretend to go to any of the salvage zones, they're
Mhm.
kind of on the edges.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you're
so
talking
they're
about.
pretty
Okay,
easy to get to.
I'll have to go check
So
them
I
out.
yeah, hopefully they'll be easy to kill. I know skill chain damage did quite a bit on them. Basically, any swarm of magic was really nice for
Sweet.
them. So if you had nukers that you needed to get exemplar points on, or nobody wanted to invite you in King Rampiers or Bumarimu, you could at least go there. But you definitely
Sweet.
want like somebody that could skill chain to do magic bursting off of them.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Random, but did you take a pick for your Mog Bonanza weapon or the coupon?
I did.
What
So
did you
for
go
Claire,
with?
I picked the Aspis, so the diamond
Sweet.
Aspis, the shield.
think that's a good
Um,
option.
I'm
Think
a very versatile character, so, like, I didn't wanna go to, like, one of those job-specific weapons.
sure.
I don't play ninja either, so I wasn't gonna get the katana at all. I know a lot of people were very surprised when I told them I wasn't getting that one. But I'm like, I don't have any cure for my ninja."
Yeah. No, that's cool. I think it's a good choice. I think the people that have picked that are pretty happy with it, and consensus seems to be that it's a pretty wise choice for if you've got a lot of jobs at least. Yeah, it's you can't go wrong with that one. Pretty cool.
What did you pick?
I end up going with the onion sword.
Oh,
That
okay.
was pretty cool. I didn't really have the conception that any of these things were going to be too groundbreaking or just anything too crazy, but um, just hearing Murr talk about it, I was like, yeah, I'll pick this up. I'll have some fun with it on Dancer, and just I think it looks cool, so just try to have fun with it. I don't think the decision was anything too crazy for me. I know a lot of people have just been deliberating like since the coupons came out. I'm like, just have fun with it. Like, don't think of it in terms of like this is an ultimate weapon and it's you're locked for life. Like, just have fun. Like, I think that's the whole point of why they gave it for an anniversary type gift. Is like just have some fun with it. Have some cool thing to kind of use and go out there and have fun. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with my choice. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of people on the forums that were maining dancers because of the prime weapon that came out for it makes it really powerful. They were like, "Oh yeah, this sword's gonna be great," because like Mur has told you before, it gives dancers an
Right.
option to an actual slashing sword weapon instead of all the piercing types.
Yep.
Um, and I think a lot of them were very disappointed because they were hoping to get damage like people have with savage blades with having those types of sword weapons, and it's like, no, it just gives you an option. It's
Yeah.
not super like you said, it's super groundbreaking. It doesn't do the craziest of damage, but it's just an option where if you have something that's close to immune to piercing, at least you can deal damage in a different form.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the content too, right? Like it can still crank some pretty high numbers, but it just depends on the content that you're doing and what you're doing with it, I suppose. But I think there's just a notion that like, yeah, it was going to be a way for people to do certain content. I was like, just again, have fun with it. Like it's not supposed to be some crazy thing. So
Yeah, I'm
that
interested
hope.
to try. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean
Oh
to
no, just
interrupt
gonna
you.
like that. No, just like that hope that you could use it in all these weird situations. Like, yeah, try stuff out, but like, don't think that it's gonna be like the end all be all for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to try the Diamond Aspis. I need to finish my Farsha to try it with Cloud Splitter to see how much that magic attack bonus helps versus using the blurred shield.
Mm,
Um, to see if it does outparse it, changing it over to that instead. I know the effect of um, increasing the duration of my abilities is really nice. So like my war cries will last longer, but the other stats are kind of what I'm interested to see how well those can also be implemented with couple of the different jobs that I have.
yeah, it's pretty neat, and the skill chain windows and stuff like that. From what I've heard from people, they're pretty stoked about the shield. They've been enjoying it like that, and the wizard rod. People have been really digging and feel pretty powerful. So cool choices. Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, I think it was really cool that they actually let you do that, especially with the Nomad Bonanza going on right now, and having that option. So I wonder what they'll do in the future if they'll keep those weapons or if they'll maybe phase out those ones and come out with newer ones to kind of have people have an incentive to still do the Nomad Bonanza.
Yeah, I am curious too because they were basically saying that they released these coupons to give to everybody because they added those reforging options to the Bonanza this time. So I I guess they just want people to have them and have some fun with it, which is my take. And then if you do already have a lot of the stuff there, you could reforge it if you win. So kind of cool.
I wonder what the reforging ones are going to be then.
I think that someone dug up the stats on them or showed what did they list them? I forget, but I
Oh,
don't think it's
somebody
anything
probably has
that.
done it somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think they're like anything that much better. They're just slightly more enhanced, I guess. I could be wrong. Maybe I didn't see it right, but yeah, just kind of neat. I just think it's cool that they made them. I mean, there's a lot of cool niche type things. I see people run around with the chocobo knife. So kind of cool lock styles. I don't know.
I actually got the chocobo knife on one of my mules because all I do is craft
Heck
on her,
yeah.
so I'm like, just to be able to run faster would be nice.
Yeah, I like moving fast. Yeah, I agree. That's cool.
I don't wanna have to go get the super expensive gear to have movement speed on her. I'll just have this dagger on, and we'll just run fast.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah, it's not a bad option. Fun stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see everything, and it's right around the corner, so pretty stoked.
I'm super excited. Well, I appreciate you hopping on and telling us all about the live streams and translating some of those Japanese only videos that they posted,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
know
gotta. It's I don't, you know, it's been a constant thing right from the beginning with the Japanese only type streams and content flows. It's like you get the fan translations and stuff, but um, yeah, it's tough to basically write a whole transcription of a hour 2 hour long video. That's a lot of effort, but I'll help out where I can, and I because I enjoy watching them myself, obviously. But even though it's not going to be like a verbatim word for word, like there's a lot of good takeaways like I kind of extracted from this time, and yeah, it's just fun. So I don't mind kind of taking the notes as I watch, and I'm just kind of glad that they have them at least. But it is a shame that they're not in English. So too bad on that.
yeah. At least they still do um the adventure ones. They have those live streams with the adventurers. Oh,
Oh
what
yeah,
is it
yeah.
called? They come on
Uh,
to Asura. Oh,
primed.
goodness.
Yeah, primed for adventure.
Prime for
Yeah,
Adventure. Yes, those ones. And they do them every once in a while, and I think they're always so great,
that's
and
cool.
they show that even people on Asura, even though we're talked down to a lot in the forums, shows how much people are actually willing to help even the
Oh,
dev
totally.
teams out
Yep,
with those live streams and just be like, "Hey,
absolutely.
by the way, here's how we do things." And I think that's kinda cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad that they do them as well. I think they're cool. People can talk whatever they want about it, but I think it's positive. They're trying hard, so it's cool in my
They
head.
gave away free T-shirts on this last one.
I know I missed. I even said I was gonna watch it, and then I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't home or something like that, and I was like, oh man, I forgot to tune in.
I
Not that I
forgot to
was
tune in too. I
guaranteed.
was so sad.
Yeah. But it would have been cool to at least check it out and have a chance to get one of those shirts. Even though I think it was only like extra large or something, so probably wouldn't have fit necessarily, but just to have one
That's
would be cool.
true.
Yeah. So yeah, whatever. There'll be another chance, I'm sure. They seem to be doing them on a pretty good cadence. So even though I don't think do they give something away every time? I don't even remember.
No, I think this was the first time they've actually given something away.
That's cool.
They do usually announce, like, some little small things, or they'll talk about the shop, how things were added to the SE shop that you can buy.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
so this was the first time that they were like, "Hey, we have these shirts," and I think they were giving away 10 of them, to people that were just watching the live stream. So you didn't even have to be on the Asura server, you just had to be watching the live stream,
Yeah, yeah,
which
that's
was
that's
nice.
pretty cool. Speaking of the shop and stuff, you see they got those magic cards now for Final Fantasy
Oh my
stuff, right?
gosh, don't talk to me about the magic cards. I saw there's 13 Final Fantasy 11 themed magic cards.
They look
And
pretty
I
cool. Yeah.
they do. They have some that are full prints, full card prints, and so I really want them. And I don't really
I
have money to buy them right now, but I want them.
yeah, I haven't played Magic in like oh man, I don't even remember the last time. It's been decades, but the artwork on them is just yeah, it's really cool. There's also some like matte too with Absolute Virtue on it that look pretty awesome. So
I saw the Absolute Virtue card and I was like, "Oh man, that is such a good card. That is such a good card. I want him so bad." But, I was really worried when they were first talking about the Final Fantasy collaboration because I was like, 11 never really gets very good collaborations when it comes to Final Fantasy. And I did see a little bit of that where they had some of the job specific cards. Like, they had a Dark Knight card, and it was for Final Fantasy 14. I was like, "You could
Aw.
have done a Final Fantasy 11 Dark Knight. That would have been cool." Like, still kept it the same, but, they did do a little wyvern for Final Fantasy 11, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, I
he's
saw
so
that.
adorable."
Yeah, yeah, I saw my friend, have a picture of that. I was like, "Yeah, that's rad." Pretty cool stuff.
Yep. One of the
My
land cards is Ron Fair, and I got super excited about that too.
Yeah, my friend was telling me about the different, land area cards. I was like, "That's awesome." Yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, so I'm
I dig it.
excited. 'Cause,
Gotta get them.
I know they did the pre-release yesterday. I think that's when that started, but the actual sets come out on the 15th. Um, so
Might have
if
to
you
try
didn't
to get
go to
some.
one of the pre-releases, you can
Nope.
start getting the cards on the 15th.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, I am super excited. I will
Good luck
definitely be one of
collecting
those
them, yeah.
people trying to I just want the Final Fantasy 11 cards. I don't
I
care
know,
if I
it's gonna be the
pull the
tough
super
part.
rare golden
Exactly.
chocobo. I just want the Final Fantasy 11 card.
Just give me an 11 pack, like
Right? Can I just have just only Final
Yeah,
Fantasy 11 cards?
that'll
I
work
wonder
for
if
me.
I'll be
Too fun.
surprised if any of those cards are gonna be super rare or cost a lot. That'll make
Hmm,
me sad if they are, 'cause I still will want them. The full-fledged cards or full print cards probably will be more expensive because they do have
makes
those
sense.
alternatives. They do Oh, did you see they came out with all the SIDs?
No, I did not.
So
That's
there's
cool.
one card, and it's Sid in the title, and then they change their title based off of the Final Fantasy game that they're from. And so they do have one for Final Fantasy 11, and I'm a little disappointed by his
No
card art
scary
because
teeth?
it's
With
no scary teeth. They actually
Oh,
made him have a normal kind of looking face, and I was like, "Ah,"
oh, this isn't
but
right.
I'm still gonna try to find it. I'm still gonna try to get that Sid card.
So funny. That's awesome. They should
Yeah,
have kept the
six
teeth.
they should have.
That's kind
I'll
of an insult to Sid, but okay.
I'll have to see if I can find that cover or that card art for you, so that way you can see what it looks like. I mean, it still looks good. The card is great, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's not Final Fantasy 11
It's
Sid.
Oh, man, the nightmare teeth. Yeah, that's
Oh,
that's
yes.
that's
They just needed to zoom up on that face and
so
just show those
funny.
teeth.
I actually just interacted with him, just recently, and I was like, "Man, this dude, it's still just so scary to talk to this NPC." It's great.
I
Too
keep
funny.
trying to find somebody that's never interacted with him before and just try to watch their reaction when they see him talking, because he looks normal when you just, like, walk up to him and he's like, "Yeah, this is just a normal NPC," and then he turns around and just starts talking, you're like, "Oh
Nope.
my god, this is nightmare fuel."
Classic, classic. Yep, that's awesome. Sweet. Yeah, I think we covered, a lot of cool stuff.
I know,
I'm
I'm
excited
super
to be
excited.
back. Yeah, it's exciting. I had a
Yeah,
lot to
for
catch up on too. It took a long time, but I'm finally in the swing of things, so it's nice. Found a good group of people to play with, and yeah, just been having a lot of fun. It's cool.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you find a good group, and I'm sorry that Mur and I aren't more readily available. I know time zones also
No,
come
that's
into play with that.
understandable. But whenever you guys do have time and want to hop into stuff, I'm always down to whatever time it might be. Just let me know. We'll do some stuff.
Alrighty. Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining us on this podcast episode. It was really a pleasure to talk to you. I know I like talking to you outside of this podcast and getting kind of your feedback about what's
Always
going
fun.
on with the game.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a good time. Like chatting about this stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
And if you guys see Mithra Kunel running around
Yeah.
Asura, please give
Don't be
him a
phased.
wave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, yeah, don't be faced if you knew him as a Taru. It was very much a startle thing for me. I literally had to do like a double take, but definitely give him a wave and say hi to him. He's definitely worth chatting to. Hopefully, we don't overwhelm your tells because I know you also do like to idle in the game as well too. So,
Nah, it's all good. I'm always down to hop into anything or help people. It's enjoyable. So yeah, let me know.
alrighty, thanks everybody so much for
Thank
joining
you.
Kunal and I, and thanks again for coming on the podcast. We hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Take care for now. Bye bye.
Take care.
Now I gotta think of how to stop the recording. There it is.